Hi friends, happy new moon in Aquarius and happy Lunar New Year. Just saw that is also happening today. Of course, you know, the beginning of a lunar cycle. And how amazing, right? It's in the sign of the visionary. I still haven't done my year ahead spread, but man, these last couple days I've had such a drive, and now I understand why. It's because the water bearer, you know, wants to share. Working today with the Dragon Tarot. This deck is so powerful. I'm almost speechless about how inspired this deck is. It's not one that I had for myself, but once again, speechless. So, I'd like to welcome any and only benevolent beings to this space. I ask that the cards give us information that is the most good for all involved. With harm to none. Hail and welcome. I love you. I thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I trust you. You are sent a new moon in Aquarius spread from Seeds of Shakti this morning from Sharon, and I thought, perfect. I really enjoyed their spreads in the past. Thank you so much, Sharon. What visions is our mind awakening to? The Eight of Swords. It's a vision without actual sight. See how the dragon's eyes are blinded. When I think of eights, I think of infinity. I think of so much power. And the message that I tend to get through this card is that you can't see, so it feels like you're boxed in. But you're not boxed in. You just need to elevate. You can literally elevate up out of that box and go wherever the fuck you want to go. Spread your wings and fly. Because honestly, you don't even have to see to move. Because when you move, when you are as big as you are as a dragon, other things move out of your way. It's like they are so small that you would just bulldoze them down anyway. So for their own self-preservation, they literally get out of your way. So you don't have to see. I mean, you've got your other senses to tell where the mountains are, where the ocean is. You know, awakening to those other senses. You know, vision doesn't necessarily have to just be your sight. Vision can be through all of your senses, obviously, but our intuition, our third eye, that may be what it's talking about here with the Eight of Swords. You know, it's definitely about your mentation, swords being thoughts. Working your way out of busting through, you know, a cage that you've sort of been living in for a little while. It's beautiful. Okay. How can I be more open to the ideas that are outside the box? The Empress. So this one, she's even got a little babe. Obviously, we think of fertility when the Empress comes around. Great mother. Looks like she's sitting at a tree, a blossoming tree. The stars are shining brightly, so it's nighttime. Be open to birthing new ideas. You know, seeing our ideas, our projects, even our hobbies as little births. You know, it's great and all to be a parent, but it's also like there's a lot of uncertainty that happens as well. But that mother figure is an archetype that works with the concept of unconditional love. And when there is unconditional love, there is true freedom. And so that baby, that creation, that piece of art, that book, whatever it is that you are birthing, you know, it has its own path, one that as a parent you really can't control, and so it really allows you to kind of like step back, you know, not really focus too much of your efforts onto, you know, making sure that the baby breathes correctly every single breath. You almost have to trust that the baby is going to do their thing. You know, the egg cracked from the inside and the baby is born. You know, allowing those babies to crack from the inside, and not because of pressure from the outside. When we're working on creative endeavors, it flows so much easier, and there's less stress, anxiety, when the baby just has their experience, just expresses itself. What false perceptions do I need to release in order to create space for sacred truths to rise? Ten of Wands. Okay. So I realized what I did. I pulled the Empress as our second, but it wasn't. It was our shadow. So that in and of itself is a reading. Being more open to the ideas that we are making. We got the Ten of Wands. And here, the dragon, let's see if I can get it to focus. The dragon has their arms and hands up to their ears, or where, you know, the ear holes. Tens being a number of completion or groups, and wands being our passions, our ambitions, our goals, the things that drive us. I pulled a couple extra cards to make sure that we were on track. So being more open to the ideas outside of the box, not listening to what other people are saying about your passions. You know, they're by themselves. There is a temple back there. I apologize. It's supposed to autofocus. There's a temple back there. So spending time in meditation, helping us to see things in new ways. Listening to our own inner guidance, our own sun. You know, we got the sun that came out while we were shuffling. The sun's right there, just above that person. Spending time out in the sun, and not always easy in the winter time if you're in the northern hemisphere. Yet all the snow allows for a lot of light being reflected around. So that's the thing. And then what false perceptions do I need to release? And this is why I knew that we were back on track, was because it's the Ten of Swords. So the false perceptions being that we've basically strung ourselves up and over these swords. You know, we're hanging from these swords. This is like us figuring out that it's all in our own head, and we have the opportunity and power every moment that we are aware to see our truth, and whatever that truth needs or wants to be. You know, it's such a subjective world, and everything that we do is filtered through our own heads. So it's like, if it's a bad world out there, it means there's some bad shit going on inside of us. As above, so below. So within, as without. Granted, not everything is our fault. You know, I like how Jen at Natural Magics had mentioned that there is just fucking chaos sometimes. You know, not every illness is the person's fault who has become sick. And that sickness, illness is, you know, can be replaced with, you know, anything. You know, an accident, a blessing. You know, some things are just random. I would say that most things have a certain order, whether or not we realize the order or not, but the order is also chaos. Okay. In what aspect of my life do I need to be innovative? The moon. So we've got Pisces. You know what's going on in your 12th house. What do you have there? What zodiac sign? working with the moon. Do you work with the moon? Would you like to work with the moon? She wants you to work with her. And this being is perched, looking up at the moon between two obelisks that appear to be almost celestial in nature. And there's a waterfall and a shelled, like crawfish in the foreground. Yes, the moon is two fish, like the sign for Pisces. One fish up on the top, one fish on the bottom. So, how do you communicate with your intuition? Like, how does it spark? Or how does it ping you? Does it, is there a feeling, within your chest, a feeling within your head? Do you get the chills? Do you have a repetitive thought? Is there a certain voice that will come out and, not specifically tell you things, but we all have that inside voice that can speak. How do you talk with that voice? Communication is both expressive and receptive, so how do you do that? How could you do it differently? Maybe that's our innovation. Who do I need to collaborate with in my kindred circle to be more impactful in my community? Okay, the 8 of Cups. So who do I need to collaborate with? So a Cups could be any water sign, any Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. An 8 of Cups could literally be a person with an 8 of Hearts birth card or planetary ruling card. The dragon here is floating above a river. The Cups and the dragon almost spell a letter M. So if the letter M means something to you, that could be a thing. Is there someone that spends a lot of time in the water or likes to hover near water? Someone who has a lot of emotional power. 8, once again, infinity, Cups, being, feeling, emotions. Also our intuition, our subconscious undercurrents and such. There's someone who is flying, pretty balanced and strong. So reach out to that person. See if they maybe want to be working with someone as a mentor. People want to give, and they can only give when they have been given an opportunity to give, which means that asking for help helps them. A concept that I most likely also need to hear for myself, right? That's what these readings are all about. You know, how we're all so connected, but we all have our own perception as to how it all plays out. Our last card for this reading is a message from the ancestors. You're looking at the Empress here. Makes sense to me as to being in our shadow, right? We all feel like we want to be powerful, be creative, be compassionate, be nurturing, to actually express unconditional love. I mean, that's the ideal. And you know, I'll say it right now because I think it's really important for us to all really feel. I may just keep repeating it until we all can feel it. In astrology, you know how all the various planets have their energies. Mars being how we are passionate, you know, and how we are sexually expressive and such. Our relationships with males, etc. Jupiter being, you know, abundance and blessings and all that sorts of stuff. Well, what about Earth, right? You know, Earth is a celestial body as well. When I think about it, it can only be unconditional love and free will. That's what we're all here to learn about. Unconditional love for ourselves and others. And free will, they go in hand. You can't control someone and allow them to be who they are unconditionally. You can't do that at the same time, in my opinion. You are welcome to your own, and neither of us are more right than the other. So there's that. So the message for our ancestors, getting sidetracked by the Empress again. The Queen of Swords. So lots of swords. Or, you know, 3 swords. She is quick to get to the point. You know, she sees what's going on. See how observant they are? Focus. There's a branch, it looks like, in the background. But it could also be like a crack in the cosmos. I mean, that's what I saw when I first looked at it, in the sense of like, you know, she is hovering above this crack and is deciding whether she wants to like go into the crack, to like go to a different place, or whether she's going to stay on this side and help heal the crack. You know, help tend to it. You know, she is royalty, so she acts out of love. The queens being more holistic beings, looking at the entirety of the realm. There's bubbles here too. So that's interesting. What are these bubbles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bubbles. So 5s being numbers of change, or you could see chaos. Bubbles being spherical, in nature, representative of spirit, maybe being orbs. You know, there's 5 of them there. They could be 5 planetary solids, you know, hanging out inside of those orbs. So the building blocks of life are all right there underneath you, supporting you. You have everything you need. And, you know, things are changing. Things are cracking open. But you have a choice. You literally can go wherever you want. You've got your crown, you've got your sword, you've got all the elements there with you. You have your sharp mind. What a fucking blessing. I'm going to lay this out. Do some energy work with the crystals. Sit with this energy a little bit. Create the journal prompts. And those will all be on part 2 on Patreon. Thank you so much for being here. Please let me know if you receive something from this. There's really nothing better than helping to be a conduit for a message. You know, I would never aim to predict something or tell you something about your life, only to spark curiosity and awareness for yourself. So once again, thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you soon.